Too much and feel too little. More than machinery, we need humanity.
We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy.
Ireland!
We know
The great
the
and
air is
powerful
unfit to breathe and our food is
No
unfit to eat.
wine.
As if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
You have meddled with the primal forces of nature.
Don't give your...
Thank you. You're beautiful. I love you. Yes. You're beautiful. Thank you. It's showtime.
And now, Reality Rants with Jason Bermas.
And who loves you? And who do you love?
And we are live. A few hiccups there, guys. I had to double over for a second. That's the new intro for now. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section. Later on the broadcast, we're also probably going to play some more of the Charlie Chaplin speech, the great dictator. Listen, Chaplin had a really checkered past, but that speech is so poignant and so powerful and so important to today. Machine men with machine minds and machine hearts. We talk a lot about transhumanism here. Not really a new thing. Not really a new thing. Just an extension of the past, wanting to regiment all of human life. And that's a big reason, guys. It's a big, huge, massive, ginormous reason we are not huge fans of Elon Muskernuts, the devil's champion, on Halloween. We're not. Sorry. Sorry if I'm disappointing people. If I don't think he's a hero of free speech. I haven't seen anything to suggest on Twitter that it's gotten much better, right? Because I know that there are a lot of quote-unquote conservatives that are new to the game here. And they're always talking about, oh, they're censoring conservatives. Hey, welcome to the party, pal. Yeah, long before conservatives were getting censored. Like, one of the things I really thought was important, we were talking about some of these leaks that came out via Wikipedia, right? And they were having internal discussions whether or not they could use We Are Change, whom I worked for, who I was around at the synthesis of. Good friends with Luke Radowski. We met during New York 9/11 Truth. He was essential in taking to the streets and challenging the narrative on 9/11 and other important issues and getting other people across the world to do the same thing. All right? Wow, we were censored. It wasn't fact-checking, then it was debunking, right? They didn't have to pay as much mind to the quote-unquote internet that had spawned over the last decade plus, where anything could be posted on the internet, as if they weren't lying on television constantly on behalf of a media, military, industrial complex narrative. The media's gotten much worse. I mean, lengths of times worse. More than I can tell you. I was watching MSNBC last night because I like to torture myself. Because somebody's got to watch this stuff too. It's not an echo chamber for me, right? I watch across the board. I like to see what's happening in local news in Kentucky or Kansas. You ever do that? I know it's tough for some people, but there are internet channels where you can do so. Get a feel for what's out there, for what's being nationalized. And I'm watching this MSNBC, I think it was Morning Joe in the evening. You know, Joe Scarborough with that lovely checkered past. Hey, remember that time, Joe, that you were on Imus and he confronted you about your dead intern? You know, the one that was dead in your office? And you were very, very, very like, yeah, sometimes these things happen. That's not a direct quote, but let's just say that Joe Scarborough didn't have a whole lot to say about that. For those that didn't know, Scarborough was in politics before he became a media puppet and got with Brzezinski's daughter, Mika, Zbigniew Brzezinski. Big player. Wrote a little book there, Grand Chessboard. Might want to check it out. He gets a feature. In fact, we talked about We Are Change. Let's circle it back a little bit. We Are Change confronted Zbigniew Brzezinski. Luke Rudowski confronted Zbigniew Brzezinski, who is one of these. We talk about Kissinger a lot. We talk about Rockefeller a lot. This guy's just as important, if not more. I mean, he's a huge player at what happened at the turn of the century, period. You cannot deny that. All right. Carter's administration, very shifty there. He talks about when he's asked about the Bilderberg Group, okay? And essentially I think the Trilateral Commission is in there. And by the way, Brzezinski helped bring in the Trilateral Commission on a plane at Bilderberg because they can't get the Asian influence into Bilderberg. There's just too many objections, so they got to create a whole new organization. He goes, he basically gets asked about who's ruling the world. And Brzezinski, I should bring up the clip. I mean, we can do it live. Right? Brzezinski talks about how there are always these over-the-table and under-the-table agreements. Over-the-table and under-the-table agreements. Well, I can promise you that Elon Muskernuts, the Musker-do, is full of under-the-table agreements. You don't become a military contractor in the sense that Elon Musk is. And that's not going anywhere. The SpaceX stuff, not going anywhere. The Starlink stuff, not going anywhere. All right? And I'm watching, this. Again, I got off on a tangent, but I'm watching this thing on MSNBC. And they're in Lunacyville. Democracy's on the ballot. Democracy's on the ballot. This is really about democracy. One guy at the end. I mean, it was extremism, democracy, extremism. The one guy at the end contended, and these are all like mockingbird lefties. I'm watching it, poison, awful, terrible. You got the ex-politician with a super shady past who got with Mika Brzezinski, whose father is an architect of the global techno-fascism that we're under right now. One of the dirtiest intelligence guys ever. And they're spouting off, again, how terrible this is going to be. And we want to, when I say we, I mean, bringing it back again, not conservatives. Anybody that would challenge the narrative. Extremism wants to end democracy, doesn't want democracy. First of all, it's a constitutional republic. I really do like states' rights. Important. I think we saw that during the last 2.5, 3 years, how states' rights are important, that we all don't just go lockstep with the federal government, who has proven to be tyrannical, genocidal liars time and time again. This government. This one. So the guy at the end, he starts saying, and again, we're not betting on a red wave. We have fixed none of the internals. None of the internals in the system. Contends that the Republicans may take back the government. He basically says that they're going to edge him out on both ends. One guy was semi-honest. Like, if we had an honest system. And basically he says we're just going to have to manage that. And remember, I'm going to bring this up really quick. How do they manage stuff like that? Well, look at your candidates. Look at these people. These are all people, including Rubio, right? Oh, little Marco. There he is. Little Marco. Of course, Mitt at the bottom. We don't want to forget old Mitt. And those guys have power in the party. Crenshaw at the top. But all these candidates, they take Gates money. They take some of that Gates cheese, that scratch. Yeah. They love it. Can't get enough of it. It's tasty. Those are your reds. Why I'm not so big on the system, okay? So we already live in what I call a post-truth world with these same people that I've been talking about, that I'm naming names, okay? And you can read their publications and watch their interviews, and we play them here. I got a ton of clips, by the way. we'll see what we get through. I'll probably be able to get there. They're not long clips. I'll probably be able to get through the vast majority of them in this 2-hour piece because we don't have any guests on today. Tomorrow, morning of Election Day, in these midterms, I've got Todd McGreevy coming on of the RC Reader. Today, we're going to read the piece I did, the cover story. Thank you so much, Todd, for putting this on the cover. And this is my I don't write a lot. And I certainly, when I have written in the past, I haven't really had an editor. Todd's been doing this for many, many years. It's an edited piece. We're going to read it. I'm going to try not to interrupt it. You tell me what you guys think. But it's something you can share with other people that isn't long form blubbering Bermas. Right? Some people hate my face. Yeah, and you can say, oh, we'll give them the podcast over at Podbean. They don't like my voice either. They can kind of just read it and put any voice they want on it. You'll have to hear my voice when I read it. But McGreevy's coming on tomorrow. And then we have Ian Crossland on Wednesday. That should be really fun, of the Timcast podcast. And we're going to be talking all sorts of technology, obviously transhumanism. He's the graphene guy over there. I want to hear it from somebody else's perspective, what their viewpoints on all this quantum technology, AI technology is. Because a lot of this, again, as we've told you, is sold to the public as benevolence, as Good Times McGrady, as, oh, we're going to have month-long vacations. Families are going to have month-long vacations. Remember we played that clip of Walter Cronkite? And by the way, when I play clips over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, I get it. Some of you who've been with me for a very long time, hey, we've seen this, Jason. We bring in a lot of new people. Some people just come in and out also. So they may see something and go to somebody else and totally forget about me, but that clip is important because it brings them on a journey. I mean, and don't get me wrong, we want to bring as many people in to the show as we possibly can. In fact, second hour, exclusively at Red Voice Media. It's redvoicemedia.com/Jason. You get the first week for $1, just $1 for the premium. And by the way, we give it away anyway on Podbean, the infowarrior.podbean.com. So you get all 2 hours. And in the second hour, you can call in that way. That's how you support the broadcast, guys. All right. So you come over, we're doing it 4 days a week, 8 to 10 a.m. Eastern. I mean, it's early for us. Yeah, it's not quite like the Stern days. Like, I'm not going live at 6 a.m. Eastern. Like, that's commute. But for us in the alternative media, pretty early. Not many people do this show. So it's kind of nice not having, I guess, the competition of other live shows. But at the same time, it gives you all day to share the broadcast with others. And I'm happy to announce we're also going to be having clips come out. 2-minute ones you can share on social media that are a little shorter, and then maybe some 10-minute clips as well. We got a lot of content here. So, with that being said, we're going to start the broadcast with old Musk, okay? Old Musking nuts. Here he is. Oh, I forgot that I didn't have any video up for that one, but only got this up here. We got a little text screen. Nope, something else. All hail Elon, the new Twitter lord and champion of free speech. 5 reasons Elon Musk is a Trojan horse not to be trusted. Now, I know everybody's making a big deal about the $8, but they're also planning on monetizing this thing. Okay, that could be a big, big deal. If they monetize, right? Look, I get it. He wants this to be like the Chinese model app, more Defense Department, track, trace, database stuff, more control, more social credit, all of it. But one of the things on Twitter is because the algorithm has been so biased to people like myself for so long, forget about this conservative stuff, forget about the World Health Organization stuff even before that. I tell people they've been censoring guys like me for years. It's going to be pretty obvious if the monetization comes in and all of a sudden they're banning people like Patreon did, right? Or like GoFundMe did. GoFundMe kicked me off. What? For what? For what? I was on there for 18 months. What exactly did I do wrong? They never give you a reason. It's just like I've been demonetized on YouTube because my content is harmful. And they just say, I focus on controversial content that is harmful to viewers. That's a bold statement. That's kind of a libel statement. if you're saying that I'm harming people, why am I even on the platform? I'm not hurting anybody. All right? The truth is about love, right? It's about awareness. The truth is ugly a lot of the time, but it should be embraced. And it's embarrassing that they would even put that policy up. But hey, when you're not really a business, when you're a Trojan horse civilian system, great cover on this, by the way. If you get a paper copy of this, and let me just show you one of the other covers. This is it's from a past one. Okay, I want everybody to see that. Let's go back to the main shot here. And this guy used to draw for like the Jetsons and all that Hanna-Barbera stuff. Retired, but did a bang-up job on that cover. And whoever he got to do the Trojan horse, look, it's a very, very good cover. All right, let's read this bad boy, start to finish, and I'm going to try not to interrupt myself with any thoughts and just get through the article. Okay, guys? Let's do it. Maverick, tech renegade, and all-around super cool guy Elon Musk has done it yet again. He has single-handedly saved free speech online by successfully purchasing Twitter. The legacy media tells us that the popular micro-blocking and social network service is of the utmost importance, as the content posted on Twitter can literally make or break brands, drive stock prices, and sway voters during critical election cycles. The social media powerhouse is now in the hands of the greatest multi-billionaire the world has ever known. The reason I acquired Twitter is because it is important to the future of civilization to have a common digital town square where a wide range of beliefs can be debated in a healthy manner without resorting to violence, states Musk. This is a man who smoked weed on camera with Joe Rogan. A man who manufactured something that was not a flamethrower. A man who posts the dankest memes. A man who will surely lead us back to the moon and ultimately Mars. And a man who even appeared as the guest of the voice of Elon Musk on Rick and Morty. It doesn't get any cooler, folks. We should totally trust one of the world's richest men to restore the people's independent voice, right? After all, a $44 billion purchase can only be done in benevolence, correct? Musk is more likely a free and prosperous society's most dangerous Trojan horse, built with your tax dollars and operated by the media military industrial complex. If you are even slightly suspicious of the true agenda at hand, read on, because here are 5 reasons you should be questioning everything about Elon. Number 1, Elon Musk perpetrates the oxymoronic and heavily taxpayer-subsidized sustainability industry. Since 2004, when Elon became the largest shareholder of Tesla Motors, he has been at the forefront of the green energy agenda and the subsequent coercive government policies and virtue signaling lifestyle sustainability it promotes. If you are not yet in the know, sustainability may sound like a great thing. However, the reality of the agenda is one in which your standard of living plunges as you are put under a carbon social credit score system of command and control. One of the first steps in this agenda has been normalizing the electric car and autonomous or driverless transportation via Tesla. What most people don't realize about Tesla is that it is in large part funded by our tax dollars. Without the government subsidies, it is hard to imagine a world where Musk would have dominated the electric car industry, among a host of other technological arenas, such as SpaceX, which we will get to later. While on the taxpayer-funded government dole, Musk has promoted a $15,000 home. Isn't that nice of him? He's such a good guy. For the commoner, that is more or less a chic-looking single-wide trailer with half the space reimagined. Sustainable for thee, but not for me indeed. These are just a few examples of how Musk is deeply involved in engineering society's approved and sustainable future. By the way, can we get 100 thumbs up over on YouTube? Number 2, despite his indie or anti-establishment persona, Elon Musk is a darling of the establishment. Aside from a massive amount of media attention over the past decade, most of which has been extremely positive according to every flavor of mainstream and alternative media, left to right and everything in between, there is one outlet in particular I would like to highlight. Just one short year ago, the very fine people who run the extremely prestigious, authoritative, some might say legendary, Time magazine had crowned Elon with the coveted Person of the Year acknowledgement. Right up there with other luminaries such as the Apollo 8 astronauts in 1968, fellow sustainability advocate Ted Turner in 1991, and the Good Samaritans of 2005, Bill and Melinda Gates, as well as Bono. Musk is now forever enshrined in glory, although there are clear parallels with all the recipients above with regard to space travel, benevolent billionaires, and rock star status. Some might argue that Time has honored some not-so-great world stage actors in the past. Those names include Adolf Hitler in 1933, Joseph Stalin in 1934, George H.W. Bush in 1990, and his son, George W. Bush, in both 2000 and 2004. Only time will tell. The pun was intended when I wrote it, guys. Only time will tell how Elon Musk's record will rank among the eventual tragic records of these historical figures since they were bestowed Time's annual award. 3. Musk gained more wealth than any other person during COVID. Wait a minute. I thought Musk was speaking out against things like lockdowns and was a free speech absolutist while the COVID-19 84 madness was occurring. Well, it turns out Elon Musk positioned himself very well economically during the pandemic, increasing his wealth by 600% in that short time period, more than anyone else. To absorb that astronomical feat, let it sink in, that he did better than other billionaires in that short window, including Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin, among others. How is that possible? Aside from the government subsidies and contracts we have previously discussed, he has also heavily invested in CureVac. Tesla actually builds the vaccine printer that scales the production of mRNA shots. At the same time, speaking out against the authoritative nature of mandates, I don't want to say that, and I've already said too much. Man, every time I say that V word, I get nervous, guys. I'm not going to, I'm just telling you. Well, at the same time, speaking out against the authoritarian nature of mandates and restrictions on human behavior, Musk was manufacturing and profiteering from the very thing the global establishment was imposing on humanity. Just saying. Number 4, Elon Musk's company SpaceX is really a massive government-funded military contractor, not a spacecraft manufacturer taking humanity to other planets. Remember, first of all, man, I didn't want to get off on this tangent, but think about the actual manufacturers like Rocketdyne. All right, don't get me wrong, SpaceX is doing stuff, guys, but there's a lot of moving parts in all of it. Just putting that out there. Hold on one gosh darn second. There may be some valid points above, but that doesn't mean Musk isn't setting the common man on a course for deep space travel to ultimately save human civilization. MuskSpaceX.com website states, SpaceX designs, manufactures, and launches advanced rockets and spacecraft. The company was founded in 2002 to revolutionize space technology, while the ultimate goal of enabling people to live on other planets. Despite this messaging, Musk's SpaceX is more likely involved in enabling a world war that could destroy human civilization. One of its products, Starlink, has over 12,000 satellites being used. That's a typo. Used in Ukraine for drone warfare in the current. So used for drone warfare. The N has to get out of there. Used for drone warfare in the current conflict in Ukraine. SpaceX not only moves the U.S. Air Force's cargo globally, but also distributes satellites that are part of the U.S. government's Defense Advanced Research Project Agency's DARPA's Blackjack program, in conjunction with the Ride-Along program, deploying a U.S. military spy satellites. Yay! Yay! The military has openly contracted Musk's Starlink for communications for years now, and Starlink is being used via drone warfare in Ukraine. So I guess, I guess that gets repeated twice. Man, I wish I had edited that part out. I hate it when I reread something for the third time and I miss something from before. Just last week, SpaceX surpassed Boeing as its largest for-profit vendor, making the partnership very good for Musk. Once again, the groundwork laid for this network of nanosat technology in the sky was paved with taxpayer dollars. Kash Patel, a former chief of staff to the Secretary of Defense, stated, "I mean, we're all paying for it. This is why he's so rich. The DoD's biggest contractor is Elon Musk." Played that here a lot. And of course, 5, Musk is a leader of the transhumanist agenda to replace humans with robots. Hate to tell you, that's real. A decade ago, people laughed and joked about microchip technology, especially brain chips, or what are now commonly referred to as human brain interfaces. It was seen as something in a sci-fi movie or TV show, certainly not a technology being pushed by the trendiest billionaire the world has ever known. And yet here we are with Elon Musk's Neuralink. For those who are unfamiliar, this is the human brain interface Elon Musk would like to install via a robot kiosk that looks like something out of a euthanasia fetish fantasy. It surgically removes a part of your skull before skillfully weaving several neural threads into your brain. No biggie, right? The promises of the device are vast, as it will hook you into an internet experience that has only been imagined before now. It is worth noting, however, that humans have currently already taken up brain chips for other reasons, including coping with mental health issues such as severe depression. This isn't a new technology. The U.S. Department of Defense has been working on the technology for decades with DARPA, the Defense Research Project Agency. What's especially concerning about Elon Musk's brand of brain chips is the way in which some have embraced the idea of having their brain hardwired into an internet that has proven time and time again to track, trace, and database our every activity. Imagine going up to a robot kiosk and having your skull open to an implanted device developed by DARPA that provides an internet link to sensors in your brain. Can there possibly be a greater example of a modern-day Trojan horse? Given what's above, we have barely scratched the surface of Elon Musk and his compromised connections to an agenda that controls your energy and food supply, that enriches only a handful of elites through a biomedical tyranny, that weaponizes space and promotes war, and that ultimately wants to alter what it means to be human. Musk's Twitter acquisition is a major distraction and false hope for free speech advocates. It is time to stop hoping for a hero and instead become a hero yourself, because nobody else is coming to save you. And there it is. Not perfect, but guys, let me know in the comments section what you thought about that piece. I am proud to keep doing this. I think it's important. I think it adds to the work. I didn't even mention his connections with the CIA before NASA. That's Michael Griffin. Hey, there's a guy named Mike Griffin you should look into. We talk about Dennis Bushnell. How about that Mike Griffin? How about that Mike Griffin-Elon Musk relationship? Okay? Big deal. It's a big deal, guys. All right? We need to look into it. Now, one other story I wanted to get into before we start playing some clips here, and we're going to play the final speech from the great dictator, the Charlie Chaplin. We'll see if we get a copyright strike. I hope not. Let's hope that the great dictator is now old enough where we're not going to get the copyright strike. But David Icke, banned from 26 European countries. All right, let's really reel it back here for a second. These European countries are supposed to be first world nations based in democracies for the most part, even if they have socialist aspects. right? Right? They're supposed to almost parallel in society what we've built here. And yet, they've moved even quicker to a Chinese model of authoritarianism. By the way, Whitney Webb was just on Glenn Beck. She did an outstanding, amazing job. I don't want to play that because there may be a strike in there. Hour plus, all right? And Beck has to sneak in the commercials there. That's why it's an hour plus. He gives her like the full hour, which is great. He even says in it how this is probably the most important interview he's ever done. Good, Glenn. I'm glad you're finally coming around, man, because she nails it. If you've been with me long enough, you know Whitney nails it. You know she's great. Been on the show many times. We got to get her back on the show. I guess that the 2 volumes of her latest book are actually like 1,000 pages long, and this is where she really delves into Chinagate, and again the collusion behind the scenes of what's really going on, and that is the model. This is the agenda. We're sharing the technology on purpose. Lockheed Martin is involved in those scandals. Lockheed Martin is involved in the black projects. Lockheed Martin sponsored the Transformers contract, the Transformers conference with Martine Rothblatt, transhumanism, NASA, Rocketdyne. Okay, you get it? Reddit, Twitch, all there. With our good buddy Samsung. That's the reality. And you've got David Icke, now a thought criminal, where he can't even go to 26 European countries. 26. Oh, but we're going to put brain chips in there. You know, in that conversation that Whitney Webb has with Glenn Beck talks about talking to Ray Kurzweil. We talk about Kurzweil a lot here now. A whole lot. Okay, because he's the guy that wrote The Age of Spiritual Machines. He's the guy that wrote The Coming Singularity. He's the guy that heads up Calico, Google's immortality division. Literally. Immortality, guys. Yay. Because I'm going to live forever. Rap-a-to-big-topper. I mean, think big. Explore broadly. Collaborate constantly. And anytime you put these people on the spot, right? Other than Ray just says everybody's going to be good. Okay, everybody's just going to be good. So Beck puts him on the spot for a second. He says, Ray, what happens? I let you put all this nanotechnology in me and merge it with the machines. What happens when I say something or do something that the government or those in power or you guys don't like? Won't you just shut me off? Oh, we'd never do that. We never do that. Why would we do that? Now, on one level, is anybody that naive? It just seems like somebody who's that brilliant. And the guy's a very smart guy. He's a brilliant guy. You can't take that away from him. How do you have that blind spot? It's a pretty big blind spot to have. Right? Just want to point that out. So, David Icke, here he is. Okay? David Icke, lizard elite conspiracy theorist, banned from 26 European countries. You know, he's about to give this huge speech, I believe it was in Amsterdam. And they're just like, nope, not happening, David. See you later. They're all, these people are monsters. Even if I hated everything David Icke had to say, everything, if I disagreed with everything, I'd still say he has the right to go somewhere and say it. Right? Period. You've got to have free speech for the most abhorrent of people. That's what free speech is. So let's read some of this. The Dutch government has banned the controversial British conspiracy theorist David Icke from entering the Netherlands and basically all of the EU over concerns he poses a threat to public order. Officials announced on Thursday. The man poses a threat to public order. Wow. And that's why having the European Union was at the apex of globalism. All right? Watch my film, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, and you will find out that the Bilderberg Group, all right, now is for years, Club of Rome, they wanted to build this for sure. Aaron Dykes did some really great research. You know what? Might have to just pull it up. But Enya Davignon, one of the guys, one of the luminaries at Bilderberg there, year after year after year after year, said the European Union came out of talks at the Bilderberg Group. This is why they want that. They want an EU that just imposes global governance, just imposes World Economic Forum policies. All these pseudo-government organizations now going to a legitimate government organization. Rounding up the Europeans. I mean, come on. You know what? Let's see if we can't find it. Let's see if we can't just find it. It's going to be Bilderberg's probably. There's Council on Foreign Relations. There's United Nations. Up there, there's the EU right there. I was right there. Then there's Davignon. Okay, here's John Edwards into Bill Clinton. This is the Bilderberg section. Obviously, there's some stuff that comes before it. But we're going to start here, and then you're going to find out how the EU was brought in by Bilderberg. Again, all my films, they're free. Please watch them and share them, everybody.
I happened to be in Europe then on my way to Russia. I was invited to go to Bilderberg by Vernon Jordan, a friend of mine and a genuine hero of the civil rights movement. And to the best of my knowledge, NAFTA was not discussed by anybody in my presence.
Documents released by the group in 2001 reveal that in September of 1955, the group met in Germany and covertly outlined the idea of a European Union. Section E, European Unity, discusses the general support for European integration and unification, and the idea to unify Germany once again with the rest of Europe under a common marketplace. Belgian Viscount and current Bilderberg chairman Etienne Davignon told the EU Observer in 2009 that the next Bilderberg meeting could improve understanding on future action in the same way it helped create the euro in the 1990s. This illustrates the patience, vision, and reach of this organization. It was able to promote and establish both the European Union and a European currency over the course of just under 40 years, incrementally.
One of the things that the elitists discussed back at the turn of the century when they were talking about how do you convert the United States into a collectivist system was the fact that you can't do it quickly. You have to let people get used to it incrementally.
So I think it's important, obviously, that we show that incrementalism. Look at what they've done. I mean, incrementally. This film made in 2010, and now Icke, for speaking about a lot of the things that are in that film, all right, and the ideas that are in that film, is not allowed to travel in the institution they brought into fruition over decades. And you see what's happening now in this country, where things like, I don't know, fencing in D.C. has been normalized. Debanking people has been normalized. Deplatforming people has been normalized. The idea that if you vote a certain way, you hate your neighbor because they vote the other way has been normalized. It's ridiculous. Democracy's on the ballot. Icke, a former footballer and sports broadcaster, who was once the world's most high-profile conspiracy, who is one of the world's most high-profile conspiracy theorists, has been scheduled to speak at a peace rally by a conspiracist movement in Amsterdam on Sunday, protesting the Ukraine war. Wow, they're conspiracy theorists if they're protesting the Ukraine war. I've got some Ukraine stories. Don't worry, guys. We've got some Ukraine stories. They're not great ones. Guess what? They can dovetail on the muskernuts, because they talking about what? Space warfare with satellite systems. Drone warfare with satellite systems. The old Musker-do. Zelensky, he's about this big. I'm sitting down. Really, no, he's about this big. And look, I'm not trying to pick on short guys, but the idea, you got a dude that weighs 110 pounds. He looks like he's 4'11" on lifts. Right? He's the new Rambo. I mean, Stallone's not a big guy physically either. He's big out here. You know, he's not a giant of a man either. But the fact that you got Zelensky as the real Rambo, an entertainer, a comedian, that is at the behest of globalism, really, allowing death showers in his country, in his region, just crazy. And that's not to say I love poot. Nope, don't. Not at all. They're bringing it all in. They got their Belt and Road Initiative. They got their CBDC thing they're bringing in too. the whole 9 yards. You know, it's competing factions of globalism. Ugh. So you got a peace rally for people that are protesting the Ukraine war, and David Icke can't come. Dutch news service RTL News reported that the decision had been made following consultations between the Dutch Immigration Service, police, and the National Coordinator for Security and Counterterrorism. Now, I want people to think about this because the vast majority of my audience, although I do have a pretty good international audience too, but are in the United States. The United States is massive. What they're doing to David, because he lives in the UK, is like saying if you live in New York, you can't go to certain parts of even like the Midwest. That's how close we're talking. You know, it's absurd. It's obscene. It'd be like the restrictions that they want all of us to have via a tokenized track trace database system. That's what it would be like. Just saying. And if they can do it to David, they can do it to anybody. All right? I mean, think about this. Police and the National Coordinator for Security and Counterterrorism. Oh, they want peace. David Icke says things that I don't like. We need to get the Counterterrorism and Security Division in here. I think that's a good segue for the Charlie Chaplin final speech in The Great Dictator. Again, I had some bumps because my macro wasn't working. I'm going to have to take a look at that. Did I not have that extension playing out? That's why. So I didn't have my extension playing out, so all of a sudden I had to do all four. I think probably most people missed the very, very beginning of the new intro, and then Twitter doubles it over if I don't tweet it out in time, which I didn't because I'm a schmuckles. I'm schmuckle. Won't happen next time. We're going to be Johnny on the spot with everything, I promise. So let's get to this clip. This is Charlie Chaplin. This is the final speech from The Great Dictator. So there's a lot of truth in that. Now, there are a couple things I disagree with. And there are a couple things that are kind of troubling given where technology is going. First of all, the idea that as long as human beings die, men die, dictators also die, and eventually they are replaced. Now, if history has shown anything, really the most, I would say, psychopathic, robber baron class, predator class families have, although obviously people die in them, John D. Rockefeller, they've passed those traits and that power onto their families generationally. And it goes way back further than the Rockefellers. Like, again, the idea of royalty is absurd. It's absurd. It's out of control. And it's the ultimate nepotism. Well, one, aside from that, what happens when people don't die, if they don't die? That's what Calico is. Or if you have a system that AI controls, AI never dies, right? So if you bring in this utopian/dystopian system of artificial intelligence and all these technologies of science that are instead enslaving people just like these dictators have. And that's what's awesome about this. They promise you all these things, he's right. But they never deliver on their promises. They tell you what to think and how to feel. Machine men with machine minds. Spot on in so many ways. The other issue I have is this idea of getting rid of national barriers. Look, I would love to see more of a system if our system worked. But barriers, in fact, just like statewide barriers here, are important because that way you can challenge systems that get too tyrannical on that scale, which they often do, which we're seeing all over the globe more than ever. So you need different ideas. You need sovereign nations, period. You need, not everybody, even if everybody instituted the Constitution of the United States, which I think is awesome, in the Bill of Rights, we don't practice it here. Why would they practice it there? It's an illusion. And hey, we'll see. We'll see. Things are coming up, right? We got the elections tomorrow. Maybe you're going to get your red wave. Even if you do, how much of a change is that going to make? What happens if World War III actually pops off? And I'm praying it doesn't. I'm not trying to fearmonger or hop in, but would it matter who's in power in the Senate or in power in Congress if that were to happen? Would it matter at all? I'm guessing it would not matter much. Just saying. That's just me. Just saying. So, wanted to get to this story right here. And it's one of the reasons I follow Annie Jacobsen, other than her amazing books. Will Ukraine be the first to use algorithms, not humans, with lawyers, to target and kill people with drones? Of course they will. And we're using algorithms too. You know, before I even get to this story and how we're in such a post-truth world that the, miniature play doll posing as a world leader, the entertainer here, Rambo himself, they've made him into a hologram on top of everything. Forget about deep fakes and green screen shoots and the whole nine. No, they made him a hologram. Learn how killer drones began and where they're headed in the Pentagon's brain. Yes, that's why you need to see Annie Jacobsen book, because they're so important. The technology already exists, and this phenomenon cannot be stopped. Now, since the vast majority of this war is being run, if not directly by the United States itself, but U.S. proxies, here's Michael Hayden, former director of the NSA, an astute liar, telling you the truth about how metadata kills people. We kill people. The military-industrial complex kills people, but they never do that to U.S. citizens, so why would you worry? We're just saying everybody's a domestic extremist.
First of all, David's description of what you can do with metadata, and quoting a mutual friend, Stuart Baker, is absolutely correct. Okay, we kill people based on metadata.
Look at how happy he is. We kill people based on metadata. Bring it back. I mean, look, he just can't wait to say it, but then he's like, he lies and says, we never do that to you. We never do that to you. Just people in Ukraine, just people in Russia, just people in Yemen, just people in Iraq. No big deal. Just people in Libya and Afghanistan. No big deal. In Syria. We kill people based on metadata. They're not you. No biggie. No biggie.
David's description of what you can do with metadata, and quoting a mutual friend, Stuart Baker, is absolutely correct. Okay, we kill people based on metadata. But that's not what we do with this metadata.
So here it is. This is Zelensky hologram. All right. And then we're going to read some of this piece on the drones. We're down to the last 10 minutes. So I do want to remind people, if you want to continue watching this, it's going to be exclusive over at redvoicemedia.com/Jason. You can sign up for the first week for only $1. It's $10 a month. Or you really help me, $100 for the entire year. You log in, you sign up at redvoicemedia.com/Jason, and then you're there. You're live. You're uncensored. You're uncensored Bermas 4 days a week. And here's the thing. If you don't go premium, that's fine. Come over to the infowarrior.podbean.com, I believe, and that's where you can listen to it in live action. And after every 2 weeks, we're going to be releasing the second hour for free on Red Voice Media as well. So all this stuff eventually goes free. It's a 2-week period. So at the end of this second week, the following Monday, so next Monday, all of a sudden, full 2-hour broadcasts are also going to be free in video form. I couldn't be happier to be working with these people. So here it is. Here's Rambo, guys. They're making him a hologram.
There's 2 different types of hologram that we're going to be making. Quiet, please, everybody. Here we go, and action.
Even now, at the war, we continue the digital transformation of our state.
We need to technologies. We need to make it feel like he's more in the room.
We need to make it feel like he's more in the room. And we need to make him powerful in hologram form.
I don't think that I ever seen.
I mean, you watch this stuff, again, not science fiction, science fact. And it's another reason that if you listened to it, and let's see if we get hit with a copyright strike or not. We're hoping we don't. If you listen to the intro, the game show at the end, that's Running Man. And the Running Man has become reality on so many levels. And that's the kind of deal we're in. Now, we talk about these drones, okay? And that's important. We're going to read some of that right now. Will Ukraine deploy lethal autonomous drones against Russia? I think it's a given. I think that's what the ghosts and the sidewinders are. I think that's part of the Musker nuts right there. Ukraine has developed drones that are capable of finding targets autonomously, a Ukrainian military leader has claimed, raising the prospect of the ongoing Russia conflict. We'll see the first confirmed use of killer robots in armed conflict. We've already used them in armed conflict. Let's stop this. Well, let's stop the imagination. You can look it up. They'll try to frame it as something else. Maybe not a conflict this large, but they've been using these AI drones. And it's not just drone technology, guys. Look what's happening in Israel with this smart shooter program. Okay? Oh. No reason to have anybody there. It'll just shoot you. It's working at all times. It's unmanned. It's not programmed by a person. Okay? They don't have to imagine it. It's happening in Israel and Palestine. How terrifying is that you're just going to walk through what could be the end of your life if a machine thinks it's deemed necessary. Just end of your life. Bye. Later. See ya. And they're already utilizing the drone technology in large scale, okay, big time, large scale, over in Ukraine, period. It's happening. And these drones, they're going to attach them to the big dogs. The little guys, the DARPA dogs, those are going to be autonomous. We're right here around the corner. Here's a clip of Starlink being utilized with these drones. Now, they're not autonomous yet. At least they're not showing you the autonomous stuff, but they are being utilized in the warfare.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition and liftoff.
On July 22nd, SpaceX conducted the Falcon 9 rocket launch. Its task is to deploy another 53 Starlink Internet mini-satellites into orbit. In Ukraine, the stations have been operating and providing satellite communications for 5 months already.
Безлімітний інтернет, безкоштовний.
Given by Todd Humphreys over Ukraine. These figures were given by Todd Humphreys, a professor at the University of Texas who has studied the work of the satellite system in consultations with SpaceX staff.
It's a crystal clear example that in an interview with Politico.
Starlink stations allow communication in combat conditions. The Ukrainian soldiers use them to adjust artillery strikes, control drones, and plan their actions.
Conduct artillery strikes, control drones, and plan their actions. Conduct artillery strikes, control their drones, and plan their actions. So look, it's a big deal. Elon Musk wants to charge people $8 on Twitter for a blue check mark for a month. Now, again, if it's for Rumble, with the package I have, I think I could do the 10, I do the $25 package. I actually pay to be on Rumble, just so everybody knows. I pay to put that out there. I think it's going to be similar with this. I don't know that a guy like me is actually going to be able to monetize those things. I'm just being completely honest. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that the Musker nuts brings free speech. I still think he'd be a Trojan horse. All the free speech in the world isn't going to stop that conflict over there, where he challenged Poot Poot to single combat, where he got into fights with Parliament over the Starlink systems. Okay? Just saying. More to meets the eye with Elon. We're going to probably be discussing some of that tomorrow with Todd McGreevy of RC Reader. I do hope that you get that article as well as we wrap up the first hour, and we're going to go over to Premium in just a moment. We got more to talk about. Peter Nygaard, some of the monsters among us within law enforcement and even in the Republican Party and government, by the way, guys. We're going to be showing you some of that as well. But it's River Cities Reader or rcreader.com. All hail Elon, the new Twitter lord and champion of free speech. In fact, at least in the YouTube slide, I'm going to put that in the live comments so everybody can share that with other people. There's actually more sources in the draft. I was hoping to get there. But McGreevy's going to come on tomorrow. We're going to be discussing that, the elections during the day, and so much more. redvoicemedia.com/Jason. redvoicemedia.com/Jason. On the other side, we're going to be talking about, again, Nygaard, monsters among us. We might play a little bit of conspiracy of silence, but I also want to talk about how they are coming after your kids and what this sustainability, transhuman productivity improvement movement is really about. Neom, The Line, and so much more. Thumbs it up, subscribe, share. The links are down below on how you can help me. Buying me a coffee helps. Rockfin helps. But really, 8 to 10 a.m. reality rants. Where are you going to get it? Where are you going to get it? You're going to get it here. And now we're going to leave the platforms, okay? And I want to say this again. You can go listen to it for free and even call in. We get some callers. My producers will let me know. They'll text me on my magic box here. And we can take calls on the other side live. But really, you want to come over to redvoicemedia.com/Jason. So, with that being said, let's leave the platforms. Rumble, we'll see you later. Goodbye to Twitter.